but I think it's really useful right now. It's this notion. It's another belief, if you will, just like everything is figure outable. It's an idea that some people don't prescribe to, but I do. And it's the thought that your life happens for you and not to you. So sometimes in my life, when things seem to keep going wrong, and when I keep bumping into walls again and again, or there's just a problem after a problem after a problem, I'll repeat that to myself as a way to reground in a notion that I live in a friendly and growth-oriented universe, and that whatever is occurring right now, there's a possibility for me to see it through the lens of this is an opportunity for me to grow. This is an opportunity for me to learn something, to get stronger, to step back and to reshape either how I'm processing my world, how I'm responding to challenges, or there's something that's valuable and good. There's some learning or growth opportunity in this if I am willing to look for it and find it. Now, I know that might sound Pollyanna. It's like easy for you to say. You didn't lose your business to a fire. But when things go wrong in any of our lives, I feel like the only thing we can control is how we contextualize what actually happened and then how we choose to respond to that experience, right? It's like the life preserver I hold on to, very similar to the notion that everything is figure outable. It allows me to pull myself back up and look through a clear lens. Whenever we've had any kind of setback or any kind of challenge and we feel a little bit off kilter, I always feel like getting back in the game and getting moving again and having momentum is how we find clarity. So you probably remember this. Another one of my favorites, clarity comes from engagement, not thought. So if even the notion of you going like, hey, just for the next 2 months, I'm going to start baking my brownies again, or I'm going to bake some cakes, or maybe I want to change my pricing structure. Maybe I want to be the most expensive brownies at the farmer's market. And people will be like, well, what's Beth putting in those brownies? Because this must be something special. I don't know. But I do know that by you taking steps towards what feels joyous and what feels exciting to you, your next steps are going to appear. They never come when we're sitting on the couch thinking about it. They don't come from a place of stuckness or when I say stillness, I don't mean meditation, and that's awesome, but I just mean hanging out waiting for the answers to come to us. I find that the best insights come when we're moving, physically moving, taking a spin class, being on a treadmill, taking a run outside, walking through a park, going on a hike, or moving, doing the actions that we feel could lead us in the directions of our dreams. You don't need to know the big picture right now, my friend. You just need to get moving again and then start paying attention to the signals. Who knows who you're going to meet in the farmer's market? Who knows what's going to happen once you start, baking those brownies and an email comes in from nowhere? We can't predict what's going to show up, but I can tell you this. If you follow the joy and you follow the excitement, that's where the magic in life lies. And I think that's what's going to help you start regaining that sense of identity that you haven't been in touch with recently. And that's what's going to have your energy start moving again. And the next steps really will reveal themselves.
I was not buying the real estate to cause the problem in this country. Any of you remember when Lehman collapsed, your business, if you were in business, your business probably got hurt. I wasn't doing the mortgage-backed securities. I wasn't doing the no money down houses. I wasn't selling that stuff. I wasn't doing mass development on the backs of the bank with bad loans. But because I lived in America and I was doing business at the time, I got greatly affected by that. My first 2 businesses got cut in half and my real estate was frozen up. I owed $52 million to a bank that went upside down. New bank came in. They started making demands on me. I ended up in a lawsuit. Aren't there a bunch of lawyers in here?
Yep.
I ended up in one of these crazy lawsuits where the guy was going under. He had done some things wrong, and he decided to pull me down with him. It was a frivolous lawsuit that was costing me $200,000 a month to fund. I had never been involved in a lawsuit in my career. So that being said, I looked at that situation and said, hey, what did I do wrong here? Like I always look at how am I responsible, able to respond. That is the definition of responsible, able to respond. Now, in my case, I was being forced to respond. It wasn't a lot of able in it. But the one thing that I walked away with was I had a baby on the way. I'd just been married. I just got married maybe 3 years before that. So the marriage was very new. We were really still in the honeymoon phases of our marriage, not really understanding who we were as a team, my wife and I. New baby coming along. I lived in Los Angeles. I lived in a beautiful house up in the hills, overlooking all of LA. And I pretty much thought my life was great until 2008 happened. Now, I'm taking a second to get you to what I want you to hear. I didn't plan on 2008. I didn't think about a Lehman collapse. I didn't know 40 million people were going to go upside down in their homes. I did not know it would affect me. I didn't know one of my industries was the automobile dealers. I was working with automobile dealers around the United States. That was my primary business. I was making a couple $1,000,000 a year. I didn't know 9,000 car dealers would go out of business. Who would plan on any of that? Now, what's that got to do with today? Who in their business plan had COVID as part of your business plan?
Let us know in the chat. Put a no in the chat if you didn't have a plan for that.
Yeah. I need to see 316. I need to see one guy in here say, "Oh yeah, I planned on mask. Oh yeah, I had myself going out 1 week buying $400 worth of toilet paper." Okay. Oh yeah, in 2020, by the way, how many of you in 2020, January 1st, you were like, this is going to be the best year of my life?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everybody gave that up. On March 23rd, the entire nation of America gave up, surrendered 2020. Look, the news, the media by April was saying 2020 is over. How many of you heard that? And I'm throwing 2020 away. Fortune 500 companies, 100 companies, Carnival Cruise Lines, General Motors, Ford Motor Company, like mass companies were like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. This year's over. Wall Street, every day, I'm watching Bloomberg right now. Wall Street's like, hey, just throw away all the earnings for 2020. Let's reboot for 2021. The entire nation surrendered. Your kids aren't going to schools. You didn't plan on that, did you? See, this is the problem with the concept. I think I saw somewhere in your promo, go big or
go home.
What's the saying? Go big or
go home.
There ain't nothing at home, folks. There ain't nothing at your house. You're not going to make your business work at home. Okay? Go big or go home or home. You need to scratch that out and say, look, I got to go big or I got to go bigger, because going home cannot be a choice now. And the whole country went home. We've been quarantined. You're going to have 10 million, probably 8 to 10 million bankruptcies by the end of this year. The other shoe is not dropped yet. The stock market's going crazy. The rich are getting richer. And I don't include us on this call as the rich. The rich will get richer. Okay. Why? Because they think big. They think big. They never waste a crisis. And we are in a crisis. And the crisis, if you were in trouble before COVID, you are in more trouble today. And the reason we're in trouble is because people in this country are satisfied, complacent, comfortable. These are the enemy. So if you can take anything away from me, it's like, look, you and your wife, you and your husband, you and your kids must give up ideas of comfort.
Now, or worried or depressed, or you think something horrible's happened, my favorite question to ask myself is, what else could this mean? And I make myself come up with at least 3 different meanings, because what happens is beliefs become self-fulfilling. See, once you believe something, you don't see anything else. I've done this with your audience before. I said, look around the room and find brown. Everybody looks around. And I say, now with your eyes closed, tell me you saw that was red. And nobody sees much red. And I say, open your eyes, look for red. And they find more red. Why do you find more red? Because you get what you look for. Your beliefs condition you to find. And then I say, how many saw... I said, you even saw things that weren't there. How many saw beige stuff, called it brown just to feel successful? They all laugh. You know? Right. How many saw burgundy and called it red? They all laugh. And the reason is because once we're after something, we'll even make the color different to feel successful. If you think somebody's mean, you'll find meanness in them if it's not there. If you think somebody's your dear friend and they do something terrible, you'll say, oh, they're having a bad day. So our beliefs control us. So unquestioned beliefs that produce stress, those are the ones you've got to question. And there's a great lady out, she wrote a book called The Work. Her name is Byron Katie, and she's a dear friend of mine. And she has this 4-question format that I'd recommend anybody looking at to question your beliefs, because all our pain comes from believing something that makes us stressed rather than saying, hey, there's lots of options. In our country today, we see people on two sides of things. We're all brothers and sisters. We all take any issue, guns, right? People make the other side evil on both sides. Everybody wants our children protected. Everyone wants our homes and our churches and our schools to be safe. Let's stop beating each other up and doing that. And that's the only way we'll make progress, is find what we do agree on. We might have different ideas of how to do that, but that doesn't make the other person evil. Once you start believing the other person's evil, all you're really doing is feeding your own significance, your own ego. I'm right, you're wrong, and that'll never solve a thing. Do you want to be right? Do you want to be in love? That's what I tell intimate relationships, right? You know, it's the same thing in life.
Years ago, in the Penobscot building in Detroit, Michigan, where I was operating my business, and I fell on some hard times, and I was sleeping in my office. It was hard coming into the lobby, and the security said, excuse me, Mr. Brown, can we see you for a moment? And I said, yes, and I walked up to the counter, and he gave me an envelope. And he said, would you mind reading it here? And I opened the envelope, and the envelope was from management that said, this is an office tower. It's not a hotel. Please do not sleep in your office. And I said, excuse me, sir. I said, I just work long hours in creating my business. I'm an entrepreneur. And right now things are bad for me, but they're not going to be this way always. And I just asked for the opportunity to continue to operate like I'm doing. I'm not trying to make this my home. And it was hard coming through the lobby. And sometimes they would laugh. There's a guy talking about becoming successful. And look at him. He's bathing in the bathroom upstairs on the 21st floor. He sleeps on the floor. Him and 2 other dreamers up there. Look at him. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen, coming to speak to people. And I was facing financial difficulties in my own life. I was behind on my bills and my dreams, and I'm saying to them, you can live your dream. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen. It was very difficult to pick myself up each day believing that I could do it. There were times that I doubted myself. I said, God, why is this happening to me? I'm just trying to take care of my children and my mother. I'm not trying to steal or rob from anybody. Why did this have to happen to me? It was very hard. And here's what I want to say to you. For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream. No one could have convinced me by holding on, by continuing to push forward, by continuing to run toward my dream, that one day I would have my own talk show. It's a long shot, ladies and gentlemen, from Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor, never knowing my mother or father. It's a long shot. Being here with you today in this dome in Atlanta, it's a long shot. No college training, labeled educable, mentally retarded, but I kept running toward my dream. Don't stop. Don't stop. Stop running toward your dream. It's very important as you hold on to that dream. There are moments when you're going to doubt yourself. There are rough times are going to come, but they have not come to stay. They have come to pass. It's very important for you to know that. Don't say I'm having a bad day. Say I'm having a character building day. It's very important for you to believe that you are the one to make this happen. I remember this high school teacher, Mr. Leroy Washington, at the end of school one June, it was just a few days before we were supposed to leave. And I just got my report card. and it indicated that I'd failed history, and I'd failed English, and I would have to go to summer school. And I was feeling within myself that I was a failure, that I'm slower than most people in getting paperwork, and I was feeling down on myself and very negative. And Mr. Washington was giving a speech to the graduating seniors, and I was in 11th grade. And even though I wasn't supposed to be in there, I went in there because the speech he was giving, that speech was for me. And as he talked, my heart began to beat fast. Tears began to run down my eyes, and I was in the back just listening to him, because he said, and he was a very dramatic man. I still talk to him to this day. He said, as graduating seniors of Booker T. Washington High School, I want you to know that you're blessed and highly favored, and that as you go toward the future, begin to know that you have greatness within you. And if just one of you here begin to envision yourselves as being blessed and highly favored to reach your goals, if just one of you capture the essence of what that means, that you have greatness within you and a responsibility to manifest that greatness, that you can make your parents proud, you can make your school proud, you can touch millions of people's lives, and the world will never be the same again because you came this way. And the students gave him a rousing standing ovation. And as he left the auditorium, I ran down the steps and I caught him in the parking lot. I said, Mr. Washington? He said, yes. I said, do you remember me, sir? He said, no. I said, my name is Leslie Brown. My mother, she works in the cafeteria here. I'm one of the twins, Leslie and Wesley. I said, Mr. Washington, but you know, I got these big dreams. I like talking to people. I love people. I said, I want to work with people, and I got this dream of buying my mama a home. Could I do that, Mr. Washington? He said, it's possible, Mr. Brown. And as he walked away, I called him again. I said, Mr. Washington? He said, what do you want now? I said, I'm the one, sir. I said, I'm the one. You remember me, sir. I'm Miss Mamie Brown's boy. I'm the one. I'm the one. And you must feel that's why you're here, because you are the one. And I remember when PBS first played one of my specials called You Deserve, one Sunday afternoon in Miami, Florida. I had some friends call him to tell him to tune in. And he watched the program. He called me in Detroit, and I answered the phone. I said, hello. He said, may I speak to Les Brown, please? I said, who's calling? He said, you know who this is. I said, oh, Mr. Washington, it's you. He said, you were the one, weren't you? I said, yes, sir. He said, and you were so crazy. I said, I know, but I'm rich now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be easy. It was hard laying on the floor of the Penobscot building, looking out of the window, daydreaming, saying, Les, can you do this? Can you make this happen? I used to listen to tapes day in and day out about See You at the Top, my great friend Zig and Dennis Waitley and different other motivational speakers, and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. And Dexter saying, don't let nobody steal your dream. I used to ask myself, can I do this? And something said within me, you're the one. You're the one. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. While you're here, and before you go back home to your respective cities and communities, write down at least 5 reasons on why you deserve your dream, on why you won't give up, what's going to make you unstoppable, Why you must be unreasonable, because logical, practical thinking says you can't do it today. But if you want to produce unreasonable results in your life, like living your dream and taking charge of your destiny, you've got to be an unreasonable person. You've got to be an uncommon person. So write down the reasons of why you're here. My first major goal was to buy my mother a home. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, what will reasons do, Les? Nietzsche said, if you know the why for doing, you can endure almost anyhow. What do you mean by that? If you know why you're doing something, when the hard times come, and they're going to come, when the disappointments and the rejections come, and they're going to come by the truckloads, your reasons will be your rod and staff to comfort you, to pick you up. Once again, I got a saying on one of my tapes, if life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Let your reasons get you back up.
Different things. What it means is maybe you're lacking some skills to make the business work. It's like, let's think about this. How many doors you have knocked on?
Hundreds.
So do you knock on 2 doors and you get a no, and you say, man, I can never do sales. I'm not a good salesman. Forget this, man. Forget it. Or is it just because you don't make the sale? No different. If you think your business as a sale, you got your first no. You knock on that first door, you get a first no. Then what do you do as a salesperson? Next door, and you get a no again. But then how many doors you knock until you get a yes? And then once you get that yes, it makes up all the losses. It doesn't matter how many times. No one cares about my 13 failures once you made it. Nobody cares. Now, I do share because I think that inspires people. But nobody cares.
Did you ever have like a point, like 7th or 8th time after that business, like, man, maybe I should, go back to Target, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, of course. I would be lying if I say no. Yeah.
Right.
But
you just kept.
But it was a motivation, though. It's because I lost so much money in the businesses. In order to pay it back, I had to make it work. Right. So I knew I couldn't pay it back if I just worked for someone else. Because by the time the 13 business failures, I was $150,000 in debt.
Wow.
150K, 20 years old. Borrowed from family and friends and credit card. So how am I going to pay that off? Making 2-3K a month. Forget it. So I had to make it work. I can tell you, if the 14th one didn't work, 15, it doesn't matter. Because compared to I look at other people, I ask myself, and you should ask yourself, am I dumber than everybody else? Do I work less hard than everybody else? If they can make it, why not you? So I ask myself, very honest, I work harder than anybody else. I could outwork and outlearn and outsmart them. And I did.